It's a beautiful day, as you know. This new moon eclipse, solar eclipse, is going to be in the sign of Taurus. And it's going to be about 11:53 a.m. So you might be able to see it in the UK on the 10th of June. And of course, if you want to get an astrological reading, scroll right to the top of the page or send me a direct message and we can get started.
Give me all you want. Don't hold back one. But you're the only love. You're the only one.
Now, we've just come out of an intense Scorpio full moon, which was in Anuradha in Scorpio, connected to Saturn. So it changed certain structures, affected people on a financial level with the crypto. People's banks accounts have been messing around. You know, we've had relationship breakups, and it's all build up. It's been a build up. So emotionally, a lot has been coming out. Right now, with this new moon eclipse, this solar eclipse in this placement in Taurus is all about your resources. It's all about communicating your values. What do you value? What is around you? Who do you hang around with? Who are your friends? Who is your family? Where is your family? Who do you live with is the value that surrounds you. What you have around you in your home. Look around you. What do you see? This is your value. So who do you communicate with on a daily basis? This new moon is saying plants the right seed. Otherwise, the seeds that you plant are going to get removed. The reason for this is because Mercury is retrograde. And when Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Taurus, it also deals with re-evaluating the values that you have. When you re-evaluate those values and you go deeper into them, you realize that certain things are not as valuable as they were. Like the New World, obviously we're into the sixth sun now in the Aztec calendar. So what that means is that the values that you have now are being reorganized or restructured. In other words, now you have to go deeper into the true potential that the resources of the earth are teaching. This is what Taurus is about. So when Mercury is in there, it's about communicating those resourceful elements of the earth. How do you connect with people? What do you speak about? What is it that you're thinking about? Now, Mercury deals with the mind. Okay, so because Mercury deals with the mind, the values are more mental because Mercury is in Taurus in this new moon. And obviously the moon is exalted, it's in its best placement in Taurus because Taurus represents the earth, you know, the soil. And the moon represents water, so it represents growth. It's growing at a rapid state. The moon's in its best placement. Now Mercury is dealing with the mind. What is it that you're not communicating about? And what is it that you're valuing? Because true value is knowledge. Knowledge is the true potential of value. What you withhold in your mind and what you learn is more valuable than any resources that you can come across. In essence, that was the whole philosophy about transforming your mind, turning lead into gold. So in essence, if it is, then what is your value now with what's happened with the world? How do you see things? Do you see things the same way that you see them now? Or do you go deeper and want to identify what it means to understand yourself? So because we're in this cycle of the sixth sun, which deals with the monkey is actually an aspect of the mind. The dog represents the entrance for the mother, which is connected to Hathor in a sense, but Anubis, which is the dog star, which is taking you out from that fifth sun, from the 1990 to this period of time, which was during the full moon, we experienced the conjunction of this sixth sun, which is a big transformation, which is going to affect us for the next 1,000 years. And so, in the Aztec calendar, it relates to this potential, which connects obviously to the Olmecs, the Egyptians, as well as the Sumerians. There's a connection link between all of these things there. So your values are about changing, but this one goes on internally. This is why Mercury has been in the shadow during this major cycle of Scorpio, which has obviously affected many people's resources and changed many things. So it's about going within now and really understanding what it means to go within. So it's an aspect of the golden age, because Aquarius, the Aquarian age, is about humanity. And humanity is not about humanity coming together, but it's about detaching. Remember, Aquarius is a detached sign, so it's about detaching but still being whole within humanity. So what is your value? So plant your seeds during this new moon. Plant your seeds to create a sense of value for yourself. Now, this new moon in the sky is in Shira, which represents the deer's head. So Mira represents the deer, and Shira is the head. So it's connected to the mind again. So now we can kind of see the clarity between this sixth sun in the Aztec calendar, and we can kind of correlate it to this new moon in Taurus, where it's connecting to the deer's head. And the deer is associated to Soma, so it's skiddy. The mind is skiddy, the deer is skiddy, and Soma is a drunken state that the monks and the sadhus go into, this state of bliss. And it's a state that obviously many of you have taken, perhaps ayahuasca or iboga. It's a state that takes you into this kind of meditation state. So it's about coming out from the earth element and moving into the air element and being, kind of free, but being able to not hold on to certain resources or certain values that you withhold about people. So this is why it's about communicating those things, and it's also about beginning to let go of things that are not working for you, right? So Soma is associated to Shiva. Shiva is about transforming that mind. And obviously Gemini is in connection between Taurus. Well, the sign of Taurus is connected to Gemini in some ways, because at that degree where this new moon is, at the 25th degree of Taurus, is where the sun and the moon will be meeting, which is what a new moon is. So what we're seeing now on this new moon is a new cycle, a new beginning. But before we do that, we have to pull out things from the earth, because that's what Mercury is doing, is pulling out things and reviewing your values. And those are going to be familiar during the essence of the summer solstice, which is going to be connected to Sirius, but it's more around July, but it's going to build into that. And interestingly, Father's Day is the day before the summer solstice. So because of this, you're going to notice how the energy is going to be actualized, because obviously the summer solstice represents the father. It's connecting to the sun, and it's aligning you to the elements and the energies which are going to be permeating throughout this whole year. So in essence, this new moon is going to also bring out the energies into this vibration, which is then going to lead you on into the rest of the year, because obviously it's going to be the longest day and the beginning of the shortest day on the 21st of June. So now, so this placement is governed by Mars. The constellation where Gemini is governed by Mars. And because it's in between Taurus and Gemini, that energy where Mars is in the sky at the moment is in Cancer. So it correlates with the summer solstice, which represents the tropical of Cancer, which is, Cancer represents the mother. It also represents the aspects of Sirius, which is focusing the energy towards this vibration during this cycle of this new moon. So there's a nurturing which is taking place, and there's an initiation which is taking place into the greater sky. This is what we're seeing. We're dealing with the greater sky here, and we're also dealing with um, Aldebaran and Alcyon, which is connected to the sixth sun, which is obviously permeating a new vibration into the planet, right? So now, within this, let us first talk about the fixed stars and what you can do during this new moon. Now, the fixed star is that Alcyon represents the element which controls the Gregorian calendar, which we're tied into, and it's in the sign of Taurus. So this was during the full moon that we experienced the dramatic shift. There was a dramatic shift that happened, a very internal one, for those who have noticed that. Now, Alcyon connects to the center point. It's the female counterpart of the energy of the brightest star. So it's the female brightest star in the sky, which connects to a center part of the universe. Now, this new moon, however, connects to the horn of Taurus. So it's not the eyes, which is Alcyon, it's the horn. Now, the horn represents blood, sacrifice, fitting into the next portion. And this is why it's skiddy, and it's moving into what we call the deer. So the deer is a symbol of the Vedic scriptures, which connects to basically soma, which is that state of drunkenness. Remember that Taurus represents the beautiful wife, the most beautiful one. So the beauty represents materiality and what you value. That's why it's so beautiful. So it's coming out of the beauty and then bringing your values and putting your values into things that are not as beautiful, but are more intellectual. This is why Mercury is retrograde in Taurus. What is more valuable? What is important to you? That is what this new moon is trying to teach you. So plant these seeds. Go into nature. Think of a seed that you want to plant. Put your hands on the soil. Perhaps wet your hands and touch the soil. Hug a tree. Find the nearest tree that you feel more drawn to, and ask it to bring you the value and the resources that you want. Communicate to that tree, speak to that earth, perhaps water those plants for growth. And these are all symbolic representation of these things. If you want to get more insight on how it operates in your life, then you can always get an astrological reading, and I can go into that context of what it means and how you can deeply resonate with the earth properly, connect with these elements, because everything is from an elemental point of view as opposed to a planetary point of view, because it's the planets that seed the earth elements and the water element and the air element and the spirit. It's the planets that seed them. But we don't know what it's like to be in Mars or what it's like to be in Saturn. We just know what it's like to be on Earth. And we only know the four elements of nature. And this is why we're composed of these four elements of nature, you see. So at the feet at the source of Taurus, or the head of Taurus, is the horn, which is a sacrifice to move into the next sign in Gemini. But before it meets Gemini, it hits a constellation called Capella, and Capella is at the horns of Taurus, which is fixing. Remember that horn part is fixing, so it's the most brutal part of Taurus. It's fixing, and at that point it reaches the feet of Capella, which is very important, because Capella represents nurturing, but it, Capella is nurturing, and it's this man who's holding this goat, and it's nurturing that goat sensitively without too much nurturing. So it's giving it a little nurture, and it's a goat because it's about to grow into its highest potential, which is Capricorn in the end. But it's a star, and it's Capella. It's a fixed star connected to some degree Gemini, but not really. So it's building in that vibration towards Gemini. So it's heading away. It's fleeing away. It's moving away, and it's that deer, that deer's head that's fleeing away. So it's the same concept, and it's connected to that. And I'm talking about the fixed stars, but it's also interrelated with Gemini because it's all about that skiddy head, which wants to move to a greater height. So this is what we're finding out. This is what we're finding out. So everything is about coming out of these aspects of life that we find resourceful and meaningful, and looking for a greater purpose in our resources. Communicate to your family. Speak to your brothers and sisters that are near you. What haven't you spoken about that, or even people that you live with? Think about these things. Resourcefully think about what certain things are to you and what do they mean to you, because it's what they mean to you that will allow you to move to the next level. It's what they mean to you. And so home is everything. Home is everything, and home is the secret, because your resources is your home. What you value is your home. Where you live is your sense of resource. It's what you really value. If you live in nature, you really value nature. So that means you really want to be in nature. If you live, in these modern places, then you really value these modern places. So it depends where you want to be. What are you holding on to is what Mercury is confirming. Mercury wants to know what you really want. This is what this Mercury retrograde is saying. What do you really want? And Saturn is also retrograde. So Saturn's also asking, what do you really want? What do you really want to hold on to this time? And that's going to be important for you to know. Because if you know what you're going to hold on to, then it's what you're seeding your new world to be. Remember, this new world is an internal one. Though it's externalized and everyone is externally speaking and everything, but what is it that you're connecting with more than anything? Let's be honest. Most people are connected to their phones more than anything. Most people are on their phones 24/7. So what you've done, you've internalized the truth of your true internalization, which is that deep interconnection with yourself, really understanding yourself on a deeper level. You got to think of it this way. If you internalize this gadget more than anything else, then you're relating to an anti-nature relationship to your true matrix, which is your true technology here. So you're materializing the new inner world of this new sun, the sixth sun, the monkey sun, which is nature taking over. You're internalizing it into a robotic system, which is taking over you. So in so many words, you've created this new matrix, and it can destroy you. So you have to think about how you're interacting with this new tech or gadget, which is going to seed you into this new cycle. And this new moon is very important, because what happens in this new moon becomes predominant in the next 12 months. Because in the next 12 months, obviously the eclipse has an effect, because the eclipse generate a strong effect. But in the next 12 months, you'll have a new cycle, which is the new moon again in Taurus. And because Mercury's retrograde there is some things that need to be cleared away. Otherwise, it's going to show up in the next 12 months. So the stars will speak to you not just for this time. It's not just about this new moon. It's about every cycle, every moment, every potential that comes in your favor. Look into that. That will give you the insight of the truth that the universe is trying to communicate to you. And it's always communicating to you because, you know, destiny is already fated. However, you only have some aspects that you can change. And the aspects that you can change are in the favor of your observation of knowing what the potential of the future can be. When you have the potential to know through the planets, specifically the moon, you can make certain changes to the effects that are taking place. Hence why you tune into the new moons, you tune into the full moons, you tune into the planetary energies which generally move you on a day-to-day basis. And by knowing these things, you're naturally able to make the right adjustments in your life, right? So this is the whole aspect and the whole relationship to why it's important where the moon is, where the sun is, where the planets are, so you can have a better relationship with yourself. And it's not just about having just a better relationship with yourself, but understanding what the events are trying to say, so then you can move in a way where you have control over your destiny. Otherwise, and you can see it clearly in the chart, more times you don't have any control of your destiny because the moon is what's going to move you. You know, if a lion comes to you right now, what are you going to do? You're going to run. You're very likely going to run or hide. So if that was destined to happen and you haven't got control over your mind to make that lion your friend, then guess what? Then you don't really have control of this, um, the cycle of how the moon is moving. You don't really have control of your mind. So the mind is everything. And the mind is what generates your whole birth chart, in other words. The mind generates your birth chart. And so the more you can understand what this mind is trying to say, then you can get beyond the Mayan calendar, because that's where the word Mayan comes from. Maya, illusion. The moon is an illusion which traps you in. And Saturn governs the Mayan calendar, which traps you in. And Saturn governs the moon. So once you understand what the Maya is in your mind, you can move beyond these planetary forces. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in to this new moon segment on the 10th of June. Eclipse, solar eclipse, beautiful, powerful eclipse. May it serve you well. May you utilize this like nature. Peace.